Hello and welcome to Shalom, Jerusalem. I'm Esther Allen. My guest today is Dr. Hormoz Shariat, who is the president and founder of Iran Alive Ministries. Dr. Shariat is also the author of the book Iran's Great Awakening, and he has a wonderful media ministry that is broadcasting into Iran, reaching over 6 million people every day, which is 7.7% of Iran's population. Through his media ministries, he is also discipling the underground church in Iran and doing great work. We are really honored to have him as our guest here today. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Shariat, one of our key affirmations at the Alliance for the Peace of Jerusalem is speaking the truth in love. Of course, we know that not every government is going to be friendly towards Jesus Christ. But we want to be able to speak the truth in love, and I want you to really teach us and the viewers here of how to do that. You know, to begin the show, could you expand on Ephesians 4:15, which calls believers to speak the truth in love? What does that mean?
Well, I see a balance there, and I've gone to the extremes myself in my life. At one point, I was a lot of love and not much truth. You compromise, you tolerate, you kind of saying, oh, you're right too, that's good. And you make people confused. And at one point would be too much truth, not enough love, that you bring the truth, kind of like a cutting people with the truth. So I found that balance really effective, and you need both, and God has both. And when you share the gospel with Muslims, they need to know you love God and you love them. You sincerely are concerned for them, and you want to see their lives blessed. But at the same time, you speak the truth, but not in a harsh way, not in a way to cut, and not in a way to disconnect yourself from them and cut the relationship. Because if you attack Islam, of course they would defend. If you insult Muhammad, of course the ears are going to be closed. So that the balance of speaking the truth in love, I think combination is powerful.
How do we speak the truth in love if we are living in a place that is maybe hostile to the faith that we have in Jesus Christ?
Well, that's a challenge. Persecution wants us to be quiet, don't speak the truth. And you can always, by the way, you can always love. There's no law against love. And the Christians, like in the Middle East, like in Iran, as their pastor on media, I send them out. I say, go out and love people. Nobody can stop you. And so the love is powerful, but love alone without truth does not work. So love is how you connect with people. And then behind it, as you share your love, you can start speaking the truth about human life, human condition. I mean, you don't have to start from Jesus. You can start from the Old Testament. You can start about the problems in the world. Can start from the problems in their lives. That's what I use when I evangelize Muslims. I pick an area that they're suffering. You know, good news is good news when there is a bad news. I look for a bad news in their lives, and that's where I bring the gospel. I think that's love, looking for where the person is in pain and bring Jesus' healing and salvation and good news to that area. That's how I do it.
Should we as Christians speak out against religious persecution when we see that happening?
Yeah. Now, talking about persecution, one thing we need to know, persecution should be normal. Don't be shocked when you're persecuted. Actually, Bible says if you live a godly life, you will be persecuted, let alone go and evangelize. So number one, you have to accept that some type of persecution at all levels is a part of Christian life. Let me share you this story. You know, I cannot go to Iran, they kill me. I bring leaders from inside Iran to a third country, and I fly there and then train them and send them back to plant and multiply underground churches. So it was one of these conferences I had. And they were so hungry. From 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., study, teach. And after 10 p.m., the teachers were tired. They would go to bed. And here the students start worshiping, praising, dancing for 4 hours till 2 a.m. every night. So it was the day before they went back. And the conference was over. And I saw them, oh, so joyfully, singing, dancing, worshiping God. And I said, do they know that they could be arrested even at the airport when they go back? Do they know that some of them may be called to even lose their lives? Maybe I didn't teach them well enough. So I interrupted their worship. I said, sit down, I have one more lesson. They sat down respectfully. And for half hour, I opened the Bible. I taught them persecution is normal, especially when you serve the Lord. Don't be shocked. So they listened to me. And after half hour, you know what they told me? Pastor Hormoz, don't worry about us. We know what we got into. When we were Muslims, we were ready to die for Allah, who is a distant and cruel God. How much more we are ready to die for Jehovah, who is a loving and intimate God. We know what we got into. Don't worry about us. By the way, you interrupted our Jesus party. Could we go back there and start singing and worshiping? This is the work of God. And knowing that you shall be persecuted at your workplace, when you speak, you will be persecuted. But your response is not to be quiet, to speak the truth and love as you share.
Hormoz, I would love for you to take a minute and talk to us about Iran Alive Ministries and the work that you are doing to reach people that are in Iran.
Well, there is such a historical moment in Iran. Iran will be first Islamic nation that turns to Christ. It's already happening. So God graciously has positioned us to have a major impact in Iran. We have been broadcasting through satellite into Iran for about 20 years, going over the heads of the mullahs into people's homes. The signal comes from the sky. People receive it with a little dish and government cannot stop it. So our ministry is to go into people's homes, share the gospel, but we don't stop there. Our goal has been and is to plant and multiply underground churches. And we have had hundreds and hundreds of underground churches. Salvation, easy. I say, don't worry about the salvation of Iranians. I share the simplest message and they come to Christ. Just since May of this year, suddenly the number of salvations we got grew 10 to 20 times. Every day, every week. And we just celebrated a few weeks ago our 10,000 salvations in just about 5 months. We just did a church service and we had a celebration, 10,000 souls that we know of. Probably there are more because we are blocked and people are afraid to contact us. So there is an open heaven in Iran. There is history in the making, and God has positioned Iran Alive to have a major impact. But you know what? We cannot do it alone. I'm praying for brothers and sisters to join us. We have a 24/7 airtime, and I'm there just a few hours a week. We can use the media to disciple a nation.
Hormoz, you wrote a book called Iran's Great Awakening, and I would love for you to tell us about this book, but also speak to us about the prophecy that we see in Scripture regarding Iran.
Well, in my book, Iran's Great Awakening, the first part is my testimony. The middle part, part 2, is a detailed study of the prophecies in the Bible about Iran. And you see two sets of prophecies. One, that Iran, called Persia, will attack Israel. That's Ezekiel 38. At the same time, you see prophecies like Jeremiah 49:38. God says, I will set my throne there. So it kind of looks like a contradiction, but it's not. Even today, both of them are happening at the same time. The government of Iran is developing nuclear bomb, and once they have it, they will bully the countries and may even attack Israel, having that confidence. At the same time, as the government, Islamic government of Iran is trying to fulfill Ezekiel 38, at the same time, Jeremiah 49 is being fulfilled, which means Iran is being saved. Millions of Iranians have experienced Islam for 40 years. So after 40 years, they said, we don't want it. And it's not an overnight emotional decision. It took them 40 years. So it's a very deep and wide decision. We do not want Islam. And in the middle part, I talk about Iran in the Bible. There's so much Iran in the Bible. That's why I firmly believe as the past of Iran and Israel are tied together, the future of Iran and Israel is tied together, both of them according to the Bible. In the Bible, you see a lot of talked about Iran. 5 books of the Bible are written in Iran. Esther, Ezekiel, Habakkuk, and other and Ezra, they were written in Iran. And now there were 4 Iranian kings mentioned in the Bible. Cyrus, the one who set the captives free, the Jewish captives free, and God calls Cyrus my shepherd, my anointed, my Messiah. You know, when the Bible talks about the kings of Israel and Judah, it's usually even the good ones. He was good, but there's always a but. But when the Bible talks about the Persian kings, it's all positive. There's no but, because they blessed the Jews. And I believe the current move of God in Iran somehow is connected, because God says, if you bless to Abraham, says, if you bless my children, I bless. Whoever blesses your children will be blessed. Whoever curses your children will be cursed.
Hormoz, thank you so much for being unashamed of the gospel and teaching all of us that persecution will come and how to stay strong and consider it joy when we suffer for the sake of the gospel. We bless your ministry, and viewers, please remember to check us out at the Alliance for the Peace of Jerusalem.com.